Hello everybody and welcome back once more to Anime Yay or Nay. I'm TheOutbackAl.
I'm Hot for Justice.
I'm Yin&Jung.
I'm cheating it.
And I'm Envy Jitters.
And it's episode 2 of Magia Record. Or if you prefer to hear what we said about My Hero Academia this week, go watch that video as well. Or watch this first, watch it second, watch whatever. Subscribe, like, do those things. YouTube stuff. So we watched this. You know what, we should start with some other stuff because we got a little bit more information about things. We were talking about a few other things in regards to the production of this and how it's being released. One, those 3 recap episodes, you told me, not part of the actual runtime kind of thing.
Yeah, it's not considered part of season 2.
That's fine. Still seems a little redundant just to make an editor put those together if they did rerun the whole season beforehand, but say what you will. So this season is going to be 8 episodes. Season 2 is 8 episodes, and we found out Season 3 is 5 episodes. More than likely, this is a result of just broadcasting standards. That it's like...
Season 2 is technically airing in the summer anime schedule,
Yeah.
and Season 3 will be airing near the end of the fall anime schedule.
Yeah, I'm assuming just because there's like a gap, and it's like, oh, it's part of a different quarter of the year or whatever, you have to call this Season 3 as opposed to Season 2, because I really feel like the fandom is just going to call these collective 13 episodes just Season 2. It's just the second half of the show. So, but that's just, I don't know. What do you guys
This is the final.
Yeah,
arc,
I don't
right?
think there's... Well, I don't know if they're splitting up like Season 2 and 3 by arcs or anything like that, but like, this is this
They said
after
Season 3 is going to
done.
be the final season.
Right, that's
Yeah.
what I mean. So the next 5 episodes would be the end.
The 5 episodes in Season 3 will be the end.
That's what I meant. Yes.
Okay, yeah. So that's that. Total 26 episodes, which somehow breaks down into 3 seasons very bizarrely.
So does the game then have an end
I mean,
that this covers?
I think the developers would hope that it wouldn't, but...
yeah.
Oh, okay.
I
So
feel like they
just
would
made
do a
this
lot
up.
of side
I mean-
story stuff, like
Yeah.
events and things, because it is a gacha mobile game.
Yeah, I mean, you play Genshin, they want it to go forever.
Eventually it should have an end, but we don't know.
It won't.
I'm
It ends when you run out of players.
I'm
No,
sure,
I
like,
get that. But...
I'm sure, like, the canon storyline probably does have an end. It's just
Yeah,
there's
that's
a lot
kinda
of
what I meant.
side material.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Who knows? Side material could turn into full-on stories for later material. I don't know, and we'll never get that over here because no one wanted to play. But
Yeah.
we
So-
could eventually
well-
get another anime. Who knows?
I just want the movie. Give me the freaking movie.
Okay, we all want the movie. We've all waited very long for that movie. Yeah. Why don't we get into this episode though? Because this was really what I was looking for whenever we were like, we're going to start watching Magia Record again. We are like jumping right headfirst into what happened last time and where are we going from here?
Mhm.
Because Yachiyo
Yachiyo.
she's depressed,
Yep.
like more so
Yeah.
than usual. It feels like because everything fell apart, and she's looking for Iroha, and I guess got to deal with the demons of her past because her wish was to what?
Survive, because the thing is she used to be a model. So the thing with the modeling industry for her is that a lot of people like don't make the cut, and you
Yeah.
gotta like basically survive through the industry in order to do it. And her wish when she became a magical girl was to survive. So her friends who were also in the modeling industry with her are now all gone.
This again makes me think my name for her, not Mammy, is like kind of appropriate because it wasn't Mammy's wish to survive a car crash.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I think we should point out first, because we were all kind of talking about it, this is fucking gorgeous.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like,
Mm-hmm.
That
wow.
fight scene.
That
was
fight
great.
scene was
Yeah.
so good.
just like,
Definitely whenever they have the
I don't have words.
transformations.
I don't
and
have
those
words for it.
I
moments
just
where...
every time I see a gorgeous fight scene, whether it be from Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen, My Hero, any type of good show with good animation, I just think of how time-consuming and hard-working these animators are over there doing all
they need
this.
more money.
Yeah,
Get more money.
Yeah,
Like,
just like
they need to, I don't know, I feel like, do they have a union?
No.
Okay,
No.
they need
No.
a union.
Kyoto Animation's like one of the only studios in Japan that has salary employees. Most of them are freelance. So
Yikes.
yeah. So
Damn.
yeah, the animation industry is
brutal.
I know Mappa was the one that was having issues, right?
There was a lot more. Ufotable had issues. A lot of them had issues.
That's
That just might need to be something that needs to be worked on, I think.
Oh, it's just production committees. We're like, we need to get these adaptations. We need to get these anime out a year. And it's like, okay, but you do realize that animators are humans, right? They gotta, animate stuff, right?
To me, and like, this is just like, I don't know everything about the industry. Like, I'm the kind of, so don't take anything I'm saying seriously. But I think part of the problem is there's too many shows coming out.
Yeah.
Granted, it gives you a lot of options for stuff, which is great. But at the same time, one, things are very oversaturated.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard for good shows to really shine.
Yeah.
And I feel like to some degree, it's like a lot of production companies like, oh, okay, we put out more, we make more money. It's supply and demand kind of thing, because there is a very high demand right now.
Yeah.
There's always, more so than ever. But I think that it actually kind of might affect them a little bit in a negative way, because there's so much stuff coming out, no one has any time to sit with anything for a very long time before the next thing kind of gets shoved in your face a little bit.
Well, the problem is that you have so many animators working night and day. They have no lives.
Well,
and there's times where they even finish an hour before it goes to air.
Right.
And the sad thing too is that they, at least in Japan, it's different in America, because obviously people get success with shows with ratings because that leads to more advertisers. Apparently, the number one thing for
it's
Japan,
merchandising.
Well, merchandise and Blu-ray sales.
Yeah, it's aftermarket stuff. But here's the thing: when I get why things ramped up so much in the last decade, because it got so popular and just pushed, especially with streaming services and everything that. But I think as a result of that, that negatively impacted. I could be wrong, but I feel like that would negatively impact a lot of shows' aftermarket sales.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have enough time to sit with a show before the next thing comes in to take all your attention, why are you going to bother going back?
So another thing I want to just piggyback off of that. You have a lot of shows that are highly, highly successful.
Right.
But they're shows that are very mainstream. They're going to be around for a long time. I'm not going to be nitpicky here, but I'm going to name a few players here. My Hero Academia, One Piece, and a couple
One Piece is its own entity.
One Piece is its own entity, but there are still really popular shows that continue to go on and on and on. Granted, they have a lot of source material to cover, so I can understand that, but also they're part of what's oversaturating the market, because a lot of people are primarily going to watch those, and they're not going to maybe find that one diamond in the rough that's among all the
I don't
other
know
ones.
that that's oversaturating. I think the oversaturating is that you have I don't know what it was how many shows came out in 2005 or something.
Not nearly as much as.
No, now it's upwards of 100 shows per season.
Mother's Basement, a YouTube channel that tackles anime, he did a video where basically he said, now granted, obviously stuff in the 60s, 70s, the industry was still new.
Yeah.
But there wasn't
a lot less.
But he said, I think it was 50 to 70% of anime that's ever existed came out after 2010.
Wow.
Yeah, because they kind of doubled their production. That's the oversaturation I'm talking about. There's too many shows.
Maybe oversaturation was the wrong term to use, but they're definitely players.
But they're dominating the market.
Yes, they're dominating the market.
Okay. Yeah, I could agree with that. Absolutely. But there's always going to be certain ones that are going to dominate the market more than anything else.
Yeah, sure.
That's just a kind of an element that's always there. The big three were a thing for a while. Yeah. Dragon Ball Z was always big back in the day. Gundam is forever going to be a part of the industry in that. But if you're talking about maybe not necessarily this show has a little bit more of a backing in some of its fandom and stuff like that, but you have so many original shows or new shows that were adapted from a manga that are only going to last a season.
Yeah.
Because they're competing with 90 other
manga,
shows that are new every season.
And it also depends on how much of a budget was designated for that project.
That's the other thing. It's because you have studios doing multiple projects, less money, which then trickles back down to the animators issue of you don't have much money for this. Honestly, this is fantastic. I don't know what their budget was, but one, give them more anyway. But still, I'm hoping they got paid really well.
Well, I mean, that's why there's not that many anime originals. That's
Yeah.
why they push most of the stuff that comes out are adaptations of manga and light novels because
has a fan base.
But
already.
then at the same time, a lot of times shows get made only one season and end on a anticlimactic note,
Yeah.
Gekon Shoujo, basically to advertise the manga.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
There's
But I
that,
don't know,
and then there are originals that look really beautiful and great. Joran. Like, that show looked absolutely fucking gorgeous. But it was all just real meh throughout most of the episodes. And then at the very end of each episode, there was like a what the fuck moment. And that was the only thing keeping me watching that damn show for like 8 weeks. And then I
it
dropped
doesn't
it.
sound like that good of a show.
No, it was just real beautiful. And I'm like, okay, something really weird happened. I gotta see what happens next. And then I kept going.
But yeah, you get back to like the whole pay animators what they're due. I think that would solve a lot of these problems because one, if more of the budget has to go towards the animators, one, first and foremost, the animators will be a lot more happy and have better lives. Fantastic. Beyond that, it will reduce the number of shows that I think the studios will produce, which might be a good thing.
Yeah.
Because one, you're not overworking people to begin with.
Yeah.
And two, I think people might have a longer time to sit with something and enjoy it, which could turn to aftermarket sales a little bit more sometimes.
yeah, I would say
I don't buy a whole lot of merchandise, but the stuff that I have has always been for shows that like sat with me for a while.
Yeah.
And I actually like I've like gone over a bunch of times in my head and like I really like this. Oh, I will buy a wall scroll. Okay.
Yeah, like the things I have merchandise for, and I've only like really sort of kind of gotten into buying merchandise in recent years. And as you guys know, I have a lot of manga.
Yeah, you're a very manga person.
Yes, but I've bought merchandise for things that I truly love. Pandora Hearts, Jun Mochizuki in general. I love her. I love her work. I've bought a lot of things recently because I just really love her work and I want to have more of it. Gekon Shoujo. I have pretty much all the manga that's been published in English because I really love it. And it's just a thing where it's just kind of like, I don't know. Like, I feel like if I had more content of those, or if, like, say, they had a better budget to do the anime, or that, like, I don't know, marketing sales, I guess, had done better, I feel like there had been a lot more of it to enjoy as far as, like, an animated adaptation.
I mean, seasonal anime has always been a thing. It's just there wasn't as many, like, back in the early mid-2000s when, like, you know, the big three was going on. There was technically seasonal anime, but there wasn't nearly as much. Like, I would say, I can't pinpoint what year, but I guess as streaming services became more popular,
I think
and more studios kept getting made and getting more popular, there was more and more seasonal anime.
I think it was probably sometime around like between 2012 and 2015.
I remember
Because that's when streaming services, like
Netflix,
legal streaming services,
Hulu,
really started getting good.
That was when Netflix and Hulu kind of became a thing. Was like
Yeah.
around like our senior year of high school, freshman year of college. At least for me.
Because, like, if you go on my anime list and just look at, like, from, like, years 2016 onward per season, particularly
It's
20,
Yeah.
particularly the last couple years.
Except maybe last year, but we know why. So,
Well,
yeah.
even then, there was some shows that got delayed, and then they just, like, winter 2021 of this year was just mind-numbingly stacked with shows, and, like, a lot of good quality shows, but, like, and
but like part of that is also like you can only consume so much. So like after a while, it's like I'm not gonna watch all 100 shows. I'm maybe gonna watch 3.
And most anime fans nowadays go from season to season. It's like, I like this show this season, and then you'll have the occasional show that sticks around, like Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen, but a lot of times they just, all right, move on to the next season.
So you move on, and you don't care about going back to actually give a shit about the season, the original series again. And that's kind of the problem. Like, I feel like, would you say, like, had we not been, like, going back and looking back at a whole bunch of stuff, that you'd be, like, looking at all this stuff like Pandora Hearts and that again?
I mean, me personally, I had been planning on rereading Pandora Hearts.
Okay.
One, because Jun Mochizuki's newest work, The Case Study of Vanitas, is having an anime that's coming out right now. So I read all of that manga, caught up to where it was in English publishing for the US. And then I was like, you know what? It's May. May's technically the month that Alice went down the rabbit hole, and because Pandora Hearts is basically like got a lot of Alice in Wonderland motifs in it, I was like, you know what, I'm going to read it for May because it's Alice month and I want to just enjoy a bunch of shit that I really love. And I went back and I reread it and I was like, oh my god, I forgot how much I love this damn thing!
I mean, for me, I don't usually like to rewatch anime. There was obviously exceptions when we did the Steins Gate rewatch, but like, I'm always going to love the anime that I love. And like, even last year in 2020, the year that was horrible, my favorite show of the year was an anime original that came out of nowhere and nobody talked about that much. So like, there's sometimes, like you said, hidden gems in the rough.
Yeah, but I feel like those are getting even harder to find
Yeah.
nowadays as a result.
Yeah.
It's just, there's so much to pick from, and then the thing is like, you gotta, it's all about even like people talking about it on the internet, because the people who talk about it are kind of like how it's like word of mouth. Like, they're kind of how I find a lot of things that I've watched in recent years. Like, I've watched Show by Rock and I've watched a couple of other things, like mostly because of people on Tumblr that were reblogging things, and I was like, oh, I might take a look at this, and then Gekon Shoujo. That's how I found it. And I ended up loving the damn thing.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. That was quite a tangent.
Yes.
I mean,
yes, it was.
I mean, for the most part, this episode was kind of simple. You know, Yachiyo trying to live her life while also not getting over her upsetness, that was a word. Her being upset over Iroha disappearing. And
I mean, I feel like the last episode 1, was definitely very much a setup for like, hey, the main cast is coming in. Great. This is the setup we were looking for like, okay, where are we at and where are we moving forward from?
Yeah, and then Yachiyo is trying to find Magius HQ, and it's apparently very hard to get into. You need a VIP pass.
You need a wing. No, you need a feather, which is, I want to say a feather is a person who is part of
the feathers are the people. So the
wings of the
black
Magius.
feather, white feather, whatever you want to call. Yeah, they. So she's looking for like a grunt who at least knows where the headquarters is.
She found one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who was it?
Kuroe.
Not Homura.
Yeah. Iroha's friend from...
Homura's in this show now, so it's like calling her not Homura is going to be like...
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's
Who is that? Well, it's not Homura. I know it's not Homura, but who is it? It's not Homura.
There are a lot of people that are technically not Homura.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, when I said not Homura before, it's like, that's a specific person. But now that Homura's here, literally everyone else is not Homura.
Yeah.
It's... I'm going to have to learn people's names again.
Yeah, so... Well, she found Kuroe, who is basically the girl that we met in episode 1 of season 1, who was Iroha's partner.
Is that not Homura that I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
And she...
Kuroe.
Like, basically, when Iroha went to Kamihama City, we never saw her again until... God, like...
The end of last season?
Yeah,
I don't know.
the end of last season.
Yeah, I kind of forgot she existed for a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it was probably me, but weren't we discussing that maybe she was just an imaginary friend?
Yeah.
I think we were.
At least once we had to have brought that up. But yeah, she's real. She's real.
And the little Kyubey thing likes her now, or at least has an interest in her.
It's doing something.
It's trying to lead her to something.
It has nefarious plans.
And it talks like a Pokemon, which is far less useful than a talking Kyubey, I must say.
It's cute, though.
It's cute, but it's dumb.
I mean, technically the original Kyubeys are cute. That's why they sell plushies of him. It's just he's a demonic creature bent on destroying humanity for entropy.
He's the mascot.
Really not, but...
He's the mascot of the show, despite the fact that he's basically the villain.
He is the villain. He's a great villain, but it's just...
Well, even then, he's like a morally gray villain.
He has no emotions. He's like they're like he's like a Vulcan, except worse.
Yeah.
That is an interesting question. If the Vulcans could do something like this, do you think they would?
Yes.
Probably.
100%.
Damn.
I'm not even a big Star Trek fan. I think they would. Spock was like
all
the
you,
only.
all
Spock was
you
like
Trekkies in the comments, let us know.
the only reason why Spock has any emotions because he's half human, right?
Yeah.
So you do know something about Star Trek.
I saw the 3 modern movies.
Boo.
I'm not particularly a Star Trek fan, but
I mostly
I've
saw
learned
the era
I've
with
seen-
Picard.
the Next Generation.
Yeah, that's
that's
what
Next
I'm
Generation.
I just know everything through osmosis at a certain point.
I've watched the original 3 seasons.
Really?
Of the
Yeah.
original Star. They had it on Netflix.
Yeah, but I never grew up with it, so I never looked at it.
So my parents were big Trekkies, like
Ah.
back in the day. So I kind of grew up watching Voyager and a couple of other ones. So it was just one of those things where, like, because I'd kind of grown up with it, I was like sort of interested in like maybe seeing where it started. So I, in college, started watching the original Star Trek. So
And you actually met
Nichelle.
Nichelle Nichols at a
Yeah.
convention one time.
Yeah, I got her autograph. She's very sweet.
That's nice. I feel like we keep getting off subject. I think part of the
Yeah.
reason we keep getting off subject, if I might, this is a good episode,
It's confusing.
but it doesn't give us enough to build off of.
Yeah.
Like, one of the big things that we were always doing with Magic was like theories. I feel like we've gotten set up for where the series is going right now, figuring out what's going on and what's happening and like all that sort of stuff, but we haven't gotten any new information for like new theory fodder.
I mean,
yet.
Wings of the Magius are going to try and save magical girls from turning into
Like,
witches by
they-
using the
True.
doppels.
We
We've
did
had
learn about that, yeah.
Yeah, we've had that big expedition dump between
Mhm.
Yachiyo and Mitama.
Yeah,
So,
the power, the
coordinator.
information broker.
And
whoever
yeah,
from last
obviously,
time.
Yachiyo and Mifia get into that big fight, and Yachiyo turns into a doppel.
Everyone turns into a doppel, man. Like I like the element of that they were saying like, yes, you can purify your soul gem. We knew that,
Yes.
but what we didn't know was that apparently there's an addictive element to it.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, it's kind of like the more
Heroin.
you, a little bit, but like in an emotional kind of way. It's like.
Emotional heroin.
Yeah, I think that to some degree, it's kind of like
It's your power
So-
boost.
yes, but some people they get angry or something. Like in real life, they get angry or they like start lashing out or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people do that enough that they start getting addicted to the feeling of it,
Yeah.
and it makes it easier for them to get angry or to like lash out.
Yeah,
at things.
it's kind of like people who will always try to find something to gripe about or something to hate just so they have something to complain about.
I know
Yeah.
people like that.
Yeah.
We all know people
Because at a
like
certain
that.
point, you've done it so much, it's just like you
It's like
feel
an nature
normal when
thing.
it's there.
Yeah.
And like Aroha, when she turned into a doppel last season, and now Yachiyo, they both got addicted because their soul gems got initially corrupted or colored, but they were each of them were able to snap out of it at the last moment.
Yeah, because
So-
they're still very early in it. Like, I'm almost like, I was kind of thinking to myself, like, yeah, this is kind of what Spider-Man 3 should have been a little bit. Like, I got a whole thing about that, about how I think those movies should have gone.
I have my own thing too.
But I won't go about it there. But it is a little symbiote-like. It's kind of like this dark thing kind of living inside you a little bit that builds up and just it wants to come out for a meal kind of thing. It transforms you and makes you aggressive and destructive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's certainly like I'd like that's an added element to it of because like otherwise this seems like a totally fine thing to do. Why not?
Yeah.
You know, we're not going to turn into a full witch. I'll turn into a mini witch for like a half hour, kill some witches, and then whatever.
I even remember like our discussion like for last season how we were talking about like it's a way to like get out your negative emotions. It's like a way for you to vent your negative emotions
Yeah.
without like actually hurting anyone.
Yeah, but I think that's good that they added the element of this
Yeah.
could negatively impact you because like you said, yeah, sometimes it's good to vent, but if people all they do is vent, that's all they do. And eventually you're just going to do nothing but that, and you're going to look for reasons to get angry and lash out kind of thing. So it's good that they've like kind of spelled out that element of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
It
you're
looks
talking.
so fucking cool though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so you want to talk about theories? I guess I'll ask the question. then.
Sure.
Okay, so
Are they worshiping Mothman?
I mean, 'cause the wings of the Magius, they don't look like crows. Their hoods look like moths.
They got the antennas. They got the furry thing. Like, you're right. It's very much.
They got the
some
glowy moth eyes.
I'm gonna
Very
throw this
cute.
out there. Like, don't moths have like some symbolism in like transformation kind
Yep.
of thing and a lot of
Yeah.
stuff? So that's
because
probably
they
like an
go
element
into
of
a
it.
cocoon.
Yeah, and like, I feel like there's other things that moths have that are like symbolism kind of things, but like I feel like that's definitely the motif they're going for.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so then here's my theory question for all you guys.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
it wasn't Mothman. Gotcha.
No, it wasn't Mothman. Okay, so obviously Wings of the Magius, big bad guys. They want to save magical girls by doing something that's not that good technically by using the Doppels. Okay, so let's say Yachiyo and the group stop them, and they stop the Doppel stuff. How will they save magical girls without doing what Madoka did in the first show?
I don't think they can. I think that it's kind of this situation. They're between a rock and a hard place. Like, you're stuck in this cycle, and it sucks ass. But I think the element that they're going with is, well, at least we're not addicted to heroin while we're sucking this ass cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there are people who are into both things.
I might have worded it wrong. No, I don't. I think it's a situation of like no one has a good solution, but one group has like found a solution that they think works, and they're like, "This is what everyone has to do." Which is kind of it's a cult. We know it's a cult, but
Yeah.
yeah, they're like, we found a solution. They whether or not it's healthy for anyone or not is they don't care. Their whole point is not become a witch. And
Yeah.
if that's the whole point, then you're not going to give a shit about the side effects involved. So, I don't know. I'm wondering, like, what's the worst case scenario if the Magius is successful, and the worst case scenario, I think, would be sentient witches running around everywhere,
Potentially.
which is kind of just what you are as a doppel witch.
A little bit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you get people who, like, get to the point where they've done the witch thing so much, get so addicted to it, they never come back from it.
Yeah.
You are essentially a witch at that point. You're not stopping them. You're just delaying it in a
Mhm.
different way.
That makes me wonder just like how things are going to end, because we know that this is part of one of the canon time loops
Right.
that Homura went down.
Yep.
I wonder if in this time loop, I mean, I haven't played that far into the game when I had it, and even then the servers aren't here, so I can't play it anymore.
I mean, learn Japanese. You know, it's not that hard.
I mean, sure.
Ah.
But I'm wondering if this is one of the cycles. I mean, obviously, Madoka usually dies in the
Yes.
cycles.
Very often.
So I'm wondering if this is a cycle where Madoka dies, Homura goes back, but this timeline continues on, and somehow they are able to defeat Walpurgis Noct.
I think that was, like, kind of my question last time about the multiverse thing. Like, are Homura's timelines that she's going to continuing after she resets?
Yeah.
Like, multiverse theory would suggest yes. I
Mhm.
think we had some people in the comments talking about it, but it's still kind of like...
I'm kind of trying to, I'm trying to read the comments, but also not spoil myself with the comments.
I read everything.
Okay.
So there wasn't any spoilers. I think one person may have mentioned that the end of Season 3 will be the end of like the arc from the main game or whatever.
Okay.
But that doesn't say anything that's going to happen, so
Okay.
it's whatever. Thank you guys for not spoiling things for us.
I mean, they already mentioned that Season 3 will be the final season, so...
Yeah, so we kind of knew that anyway.
Right.
But
I mean, it's one of the... okay, with some gacha games, there's like a main game ending, how many hours that takes, but then like you were talking about earlier,
all
there's,
the side
there's going to be
quests kind
side
of thing.
stories that are going to get added. And,
Side story content. I mean, yeah, like keep it going.
And
People
then eventually they'll
are
just
really
make a sequel,
enjoying it.
Breath of the Wild 2 or something.
I mean, here's the thing too: when you have a gacha game with a story, no matter how complex it has, you should have at least a base ending, so that way you don't, have people blue balled the entire time.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's always like you make another season, you make another story, that becomes the main quest afterwards.
And that's fine.
That's always fine.
but,
This is a continuing thing.
Because if you're putting that much effort into creating this deep lore and deep characters and all this complicated stuff,
If you
And
don't
it's-
have a planned ending for it, eventually
Yeah.
you're going to shit the bed.
yeah, they'll turn into the sequel trilogy. But I'm not going to go into that again.
Yeah. We watch the good Star Wars. It's called Clone Wars, and it was about 2 hours of shorts.
I mean, I don't know. The Star Wars Clone Wars series that they had, like, back in, like, the early 20-teens.
The CG one.
The CG one, that was really, really good.
I still have to watch it.
Yeah, you should watch it.
I'm
I
I'm
highly
looking forward
recommend.
to it.
I cried so much.
Really? Well, it's from the
Yes.
people who made Avatar, so I know that it's quality.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I'm just always was a fan of Genndy Tartakovsky's stuff.
Mhm.
So, the ending of this with the
Yes.
tree.
Uh-huh.
Oh, we should get back to
Back to the plot.
what the girl in the bed.
Yes.
We
Nemi.
found out about rumors
Nemi.
Yes.
and
Nemi.
where they come from now.
She
Her.
writes them. She
Yeah.
is the author. She is the word spreader of all of the rumors here in Kamehameha City.
Yeah, thanks, girl.
I still don't know if they've like fully explained the plan yet. They're not going to. This is episode 2, but like I'm wondering what the overall plan is with the rumors, because I think for a while we were just thinking it was this area's way of dealing with the emotional stuff that the witches are normally the form of,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's the same. Maybe it is, but at the same time, they're being created by someone with intent, as opposed to it's just a manifestation of negative emotion.
So, I was wondering if, like, the wings of the Magius are kind of, like, creating the rumors and making the doppels and
Yeah.
doing all of this stuff.
They are. I mean, that's
The-
been confirmed, basically.
And the Uwasas.
Yeah.
Those are also a thing. Like, if
I'm
those,
sorry, are those not the rumors?
The thing is, like, they call them the rumors, but then the Uwasas are, like, part of the rumors, I think.
Okay, is the rumor just the setup, like the story, and then the Uwasa is the villain in it?
That's at least the gist that I have gotten when
Okay.
I've been watching it. Don't quote me on that. I could very well be wrong.
I think you're right. They feel like the same thing.
Yeah. So.
So it's, like, the rumor is just the area it's in,
Uh-huh.
and the Uwasa is the witch inside the lair.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like that's...
Or
We could be very
like,
wrong, but
the
it feels
rumor
like
is
what the
like
analogy
the
is.
tail stipulation that causes something to go wrong.
Yeah.
The Uwasa is the thing that, like, basically will keep them prisoner.
Okay.
Uwasa are like witches. They're surreal beings which reside in similarly surreal labyrinths or barriers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're basically the same thing as witches, just not called witches.
And they don't
They're-
give grief seats.
And they're also basically linked to a story.
Yeah, they
I'll
don't
say
have grief
this.
seeds, right?
This
Yeah.
explains why they don't give out any sort of grief seed or do any of the normal things that your standard witch, wraith, nightmare, what have you, that we've seen in the series does.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're not real.
Yeah.
You could almost argue, because I'm remembering from the original series that you could have offshoots of witches. They could breed
Familiars.
like familiars that could eventually turn to witches. This just feels like this person is just throwing out familiars everywhere. And those are the Uwasa. So yeah, they're not going to give off grief seeds, and it's going to cause everyone to get tainted longer and longer to make more doppels. That feels like the ultimate plan. But
that's
know.
only done if their soul gem's been messed with.
yeah,
Like, they're only able to do the doppels if someone like Mitama is able to basically, like, coordinate what's
yeah,
going
we're going to put
on
an
with
adapter on your soul gem to give you some other options.
it. Yeah.
So I guess the ultimate plan for them is to wait for Walpurgisnacht to show up and then beat Walpurgisnacht with a whole bunch of mini witches.
Yes.
Yeah. Seems like a bit of a gamble, but okay.
I mean, I would also say it's a bit
Honestly,
of a
I don't think
gamble.
anyone else has come up with a better idea
Yeah,
other than
but-
becoming God.
But I mean, the only thing...
Which,
it's,
like,
It's the only
how
thing that
often?
makes... It's the only thing that makes sense at this point.
I mean, they had at least, I couldn't tell by the shots, but they had at least over 100 members in that room. Where
that's
they
a
had-
lot.
Yeah, so...
I almost wonder, like, whether they could just take it down as magical girls a little bit. Like, just sheer power of numbers. I don't know that Homer has ever really tried something with, like, an army of magical girls
So-
before.
I mean,
Probably not.
there usually isn't that many magical girls in an area because they have their
Yeah.
own territory.
They
True.
have their own territories. They fight amongst themselves. And the thing is like, Homura, despite the fact that she knows all of this, is not the best at
Not
communicating.
socially adept.
So, I think that's part of the problem for her is
Mhm.
just the fact that one, she won't really talk to people. 2, she's really only concerned about Madoka.
True.
And 3, it's just a matter of, yeah, there aren't a lot of magical girls in the area. It's really just the 5 of them.
And also, Homura was the only one, because she went through time so many times, to knew about
Walpurgis
not. Would people even believe her? Like, do people know that thing's a thing? Because obviously Kyuubi's not going to say anything.
Kyoko did.
Kyoko knew.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Kyoko at least believed her about it.
Yeah.
She didn't trust where she was getting her sources from, but like
The Wings of the Magius already know it's coming.
But like, how much of this is rumor? Or how much do people believe that is true?
Rumor is a bit of a loaded word now, but
Well, yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to say. I was for a moment. What is her name? Not Homura. Kuroe. She doppeled, and for half a second, I was like, "Is that a mini Walpurgis Nacht?"
Oh no, that was Mifuyu.
Yeah, that was Mifuyu.
Oh, her. Yeah. Okay. I thought for like half a second, I'm like, "Oh my god, are they gonna power up her to just turn into Walpurgis Nacht and then kill her?" But no, it's not the same kind of design. I don't know. If I end up being right, I'm gonna be... Because here's the thing. Walpurgis Nacht at some point was a magical girl.
Mm-hmm.
They don't say when that thing was created or who it was or anything like that. It could be anybody.
Also,
you know?
Wouldn't it leave a path of destruction? I mean, I know they described it as like a very powerful storm that was headed their way.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Storm's got to get formed somewhere.
Yeah.
And like, is Walpurgis not like a comet? Like it only comes around every few, how many years or something?
No. It's a thing.
Walpurgis Nacht itself, like the actual day, yes. The witch, no.
So then why did she show
other Walpurgis Nachts?
Like the traditional thing that it's named after?
Well, no, like that witch that is going to the witch that it was like the final boss in the original series. Like,
was it called Walpurgis Nacht or did it have a different name?
No, it's Walpurgis Nacht.
It's Walpurgis
I thought
Nacht,
so.
but Walpurgis Nacht is basically the witch's night in German, and it's a holiday.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like the thing that
is
everyone's
it a holiday in the show?
And not in
Or
the
is it
show
just...
itself, but I'm wondering if they call it Walpurgis Nacht. Maybe it's because that's the day it shows up.
I think so.
Sure, that
but
makes sense.
What
but
makes it show up? Like, what has it attacked before, or is it not attacked?
No, it's just making its way downtown, walking fast, faces past.
It's
like
homebound?
Yeah.
It happened before. That's what you're saying, and
well, that's what I'm wondering. Or did it just become a witch at that moment? And that's why, and it just so happened to be a cosmic coincidence that Homura had to keep repeating this day because that's the one day that a magical girl was like, I'm going to become the most powerful witch of all time.
I want a Walpurgis Nacht backstory.
Me too.
I'm wondering if that's what we might be getting here.
Yeah.
with the movie.
What if...
No. With this.
No, that's going to be post Walpurgis Nacht. I'm wondering if here, because clearly we are at the time before she loops back, Walpurgis Nacht is not there yet. It's coming. We know it's coming. But again, we've never really figured out where it came from or how. Because, like, what was it tends to be the witches are a manifestation of the despair, the grief, whatever, all the negative emotions of the magical girl who had them. So it kind of goes with it that the bigger your wish, or the stronger your emotions involved, or whatever else, the more powerful of a magical girl you are, and ipso facto, the more powerful a witch you are. What was the wish? And who was this person? And what did they go through that they became that big of a witch? Mm-hmm. Like, we've seen Homura in Rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
She went through a fucking lot.
Mm-hmm.
And she became, I would probably say, a witch that's comparable to Walpurgis Nacht in power.
Maybe even more powerful.
Maybe
say
so.
If Madoka became a god when she got separated, and now Homer is basically the devil. So
yeah. So well, she didn't even have all that power at that point. But like, still, what did this person? Who was this person? What did they go through? What happened? I don't know. I could be talking completely out of my ass, but we might be about to find out.
I would hope so.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with anything. It's just a cosmic coincidence, and it's just a thing.
I mean, I don't know.
It is Halley's Comet. Who knows?
Like, maybe... I don't know. Maybe it's just something we haven't gotten fully explained yet.
Well, no, it's definitely not going to be fully explained yet. We're still, like, way early in the series.
Yeah.
But I kind of just for half a second, and again, I'm probably just seeing things because I want to see things, but for a moment, Mifuyu?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I thought Mifuyu looked like a small version of Walpurgisnacht. Then I actually took a longer look at it, and I'm like, nah, this isn't quite it. But
I mean, that was just
what
something,
if she transformed a little more?
I mean, that was
What
just
if she changed
something.
a
That
little
was
bit
just
more?
something I always wondered about the original series. Like, was it just that day that Homer found Walpurgisnacht, and so she knew going forward what it was going to
pretty
be?
much.
Or like, was it like a thing that happens like every
No, it does,
50 years or
It
something?
doesn't
like
happen
that?
every 50 years, but it was a manifestation that was making its way to the point I think that they thought it was like a typhoon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Basically, it was coming in, I believe, from the west and making its way to the coast.
Okay.
I just thought it was like something that happened once before. The witch disappeared, and then it's going to come back later. I always thought it was like that.
No, they're
but-
not like conniving villains. They're a little more like mindless.
They're
honestly.
mindless, and they want to just cause despair.
Yeah, they're a bit more Godzilla-like than evil villain to some degree. Well, at least that one was. A lot more of them were like, kill yourself kind of thing. But, yeah, that one was more of just a giant Godzilla problem.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
I will say, Yachiyo's doppel design is very cool. I do really
The
like...
scorpion thing?
Yeah, like, I appreciate the scorpion thing, but then they also used water as her element.
Yeah, she's a Scorpio.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe
Scorpio.
she is a Scorpio. Is she a Scorpio? Someone look up her birthday.
Please!
Alright.
If she's not,
Because Scorpios
that's a
are...
failure on the writing team's
Scorpio's
part.
a water sign.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see.
She's gotta be.
No, she's a Capricorn.
The fuck?
Wow.
Yeah.
Why? They dropped the ball hard.
Dang.
Capricorn.
Why? You missed an opportune writing moment there, writers.
Yeah.
Come on.
I also want to give shout out. I like giving shout outs to voice actors and actresses. I love Yachiyo's voice actress, Sora Mia. She's one of my favorite newer voice actresses, and
She did a good job.
yeah, she's done a really. I always like to give, in addition to animators, I love to give shout outs to voice actors and actresses, whether it's sub or dub, because they often get underappreciated unless you're like, Troy Baker or something like that voice everything.
I think she's getting a little bit more to do this time. Like, I feel like she was a very stoic character last season, but now she's broken down a little bit. She's got a lot more to do, like, emotionally right now.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, you can even argue. Granted, we'll see what happens next episode, whether Iroha becomes back. But,
Oh, right, we didn't talk about that.
But like, for right now, we could say Yachiyo is the main character right now until
Mhm.
we figure out what happens with Iroha, because
And
Iroha became a cherry blossom tree with her hair.
anyway,
Seemed
Yeah.
like that happened so fast.
going
Yeah.
to...
I was not expecting them to find her so quick. I thought it was going to be like
Yeah.
episode 3 or 4 before they
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get back to the episode.
did. Let's unpack all that. So there's some sort of super rumor about an eternal Sakura tree.
Yes.
Explain that, because I can't.
Okay, so the rumor about the soccer tree is that 3 girls, once they're reunited with, I guess, this older sister figure,
Mhm.
that basically, I guess, something good is gonna happen, or like she'll get out of the hospital, or
The tree bloomed
the tree
forever.
will bloom forever. That was what it was. Okay.
Yeah.
So like, and basically, like, if the tree's gonna bloom forever, that basically equals eternal life.
Okay.
I mean, that's at least how I interpret that. So,
We have talked about before that the magical girls might be immortal to
Yeah.
begin with.
mm-hmm. So
I still like that theory of, like, dead body and, like, you give your soul gem to them and you can switch bodies with people. That'd be really fucked up but weird. And I don't know.
So basically, after Yachiyo's fight with Mifuyu,
Mhm.
she's chasing after Kuroe, who has the mini QB. The mini
Mhm.
QB is leading Kuroe.
That thing's suspicious as
somewhere.
hell.
Oh yeah. Basically, they go in and they go into this lair or labyrinth thing.
Yes, an Awasa barrier.
It's an Awasa barrier. They go through it. They end up at the wilting sakura tree from the rumor, and essentially they there in the tree is Aroha, and basically she just appears and out of a bubble, and her hair just all flies everywhere, and
She turned into a doppel witch, or maybe a full witch. Who knows?
I think a doppel for now.
For now, it seems to be their selling point.
Well, she's also had her soul gem coordinated,
That's true.
so I think she's okay for now.
I think we were saying something about American Gods a little bit. How we got that vibe a little bit, like tying someone to the world tree so that they could resurrect someone.
I kind of see what you're saying.
Yeah, it's not very close, but
It's not. I don't think it's really the same
No,
thing.
it's
but I
definitely
can
not,
kind of
but-
see what you're saying.
yeah.
I think
feel like-
there's always a sense of like trees and life and growth and
This
stuff.
tree is going to be very important. We know that,
Yes,
without a doubt.
at least for now.
Until they chop it down in the next episode, and I'm like, well, my theories are gone. I'm trying to think. Anything else that we didn't cover here that we're thinking about?
I mean, I like the OP song.
I love the OP. It's by Claris again. And then we have our Edie, which is by Trisale, who did the opening from last season. So
I don't remember it that well.
Gomakashi,
It's been a while.
It's a good song. I like it a lot. But I also like the opening visuals. They're a lot more visually stunning than last season's, for sure.
I'll give you that.
Although I will say last season's opening was a lot more reminiscent of Madoka's opening. So
I think they have to, because Madoka's back.
yeah. But now this one is actually a lot more different, and it's actually a little more sad. Because she's with all of her friends, and then they all disappear.
Yeah. Is that foreshadowing? Who knows?
Maybe.
Maybe they just realized, we don't have enough stuff to write about these characters, so we're not going to make them main characters anymore. That's kind of one disadvantages that it has is you didn't have a whole lot of time to really get to know some of all the characters that were being introduced. So right now we're kind of like, do I care that the AI is not here?
So the only thing about
Do you remember her?
yeah.
But do you remember her? Exactly.
So the thing with the fact that all these other characters might be sidelined for now might be because the game itself is basically part of you build up your team, and you have these different team members who all have different specialties or elemental things that basically they have basically if you're facing off against this kind of enemy, you should use this person in your fight.
You switch out your Pokemon depending on what gym you're fighting in.
Yeah, so that's kind of
What are you laughing at? You know it's true.
That's basically what these girls are there for. So to have a full roster of them is definitely helpful in a game like that.
Yeah.
Especially considering the fact of the witches in Kamihama City were considered to be so much stronger than those in Mitakihara.
Yeah. But the bloated cast kind of drags the narrative a little bit otherwise.
A little bit.
Yeah. That's the one disadvantage of taking a gacha mobile game with lots of playable characters, trying to translate that into a full anime series.
I mean, it seems to, at this point at least, mostly be focusing on Yachiyo and what she's going on with that. I think if they stick with that, I think it'll really keep the narrative tight and good moving forward.
And I'm willing to bet they added scenes to the anime to help pad it out for stuff that wasn't in the game or something like that.
I can't say. I don't know.
I said I'm willing to bet, so I'm just taking a guess because I heard some people on Reddit say that they added scenes, anime-only scenes.
I mean, sometimes it helps narratively. When you think about a turn-based combat sort of game, that's kind of what it was, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's... Yeah, you have to add certain things because what are the main story elements? It's just clips between combat, right?
Clips
Yeah.
between combat,
Yeah.
mostly about Iroha finding her sister, from what I remember.
Yeah, you need transition points at a certain point with that kind of thing. Because otherwise it's just like, everything's just... I think everything would be really choppy otherwise, a
Yeah.
little bit. Yeah. So... I don't know what else to talk about. I think we covered everything. Did we? We covered everything and then some, I think.
Yeah, I think we covered everything that honestly stood out to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we did talk a lot about the animation industry and a lot of other things.
Yeah,
I did not expect us to go off on that tangent, but there it is.
I end up bringing it up often. It's usually a quarterly thing we do, where I bring up, animation studios, because it just does. They're not as corrupt as the video game industry, but they push their employees to the breaking point, like a lot of industries.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
So we'll bring it up again October?
yeah, we're on there.
Okay.
It'll be spooky season, so we'll just
Spooky
say.
season.
So we'll say.
Well, it's
Oh
American
god,
spooky season.
we'll have a whole thing for spooky season.
Mm.
Yeah, so I guess that's it. We'll be back again for more Magia Record next week. See where this whole train's a-going. And watching other things as well, of course, as always. So come back for that and other things. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell icon for notifications. If you enjoyed this video, give us a like, and if you haven't already, check out some of our previous episodes, our daily gaming videos, or our parody series Madoka Magically Abridged. See you next time!